Take a break, listen to the quiet inside as well as the noise around you. There's an obvious secret that most people don't see, but the smartest people have always known it. You can't really be powerful by talking a lot, getting yourself heard all the time, or trying to control people with words. Being able to know when to speak up and when to keep quiet is where it's found. People who understand this truth make the world what it is, while people who don't become pawns in other people's hands. For many, having influence means speaking up, demanding attention, and getting your voice heard above all others. However, this is not the case. Niccolo Machiavelli, one of the smartest people in history who studied power, knew that being strong doesn't mean saying the most. It means controlling what is said, and more importantly, what isn't said. A boss who talks too much lets their fears, wants, and weaknesses slip out. On the other hand, someone who listens carefully learns new things, finds weaknesses, and sets themselves up for success. Silence isn't powerful when it's used to keep things secret. It's powerful when it manages the flow of information. People who are good at it set the rules, while people who talk about nothing become predictable and easy to control. To really have an effect, you need to know when to share just the right amount of information and when to let others do the talking. The great strategists of the past all understood this concept. Generals won wars without even fighting, by keeping their plans secret and spotting their enemies' weak spots. Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War that the winner depends on how well you lie and how patient you are. He was aware that silence could be just as dangerous as a knife. Think about a chess grandmaster. Does he make the first move without thinking about it? No, he just waits, learns, and watches. Being quiet is not the same as being passive. It's a way to control someone. Other people have to make the first mistake. This rule works for talks, leading, and even just talking to people every day. You give other people a chance to show their cards when you fight the urge to talk in every pause. They let their fears, thoughts, and doubts slip out because they are in a hurry to talk. People respect someone who talks clearly and not too much. People think they are smart, sure of themselves, and in charge even when they don't say anything. Imagine two people negotiating with each other. One talks non-stop, trying to defend their position, get agreement, and go over every detail. The other person stays quiet, watching, and letting the first person say too much. Who do you think has the upper hand? When there is silence, strain builds, and most people feel the need to fill that tension with useless information right away. A smart boss or negotiator knows how to use this discomfort to their advantage. This method can be used in personal relationships, social settings, and any other situation where impact is important, not just business meetings or battlefields. People who listen carefully, keep the conversation going, and let the other person speak first always have the upper hand. One thing that all the best kings, smartest people, and most successful strategists had in common was that they knew how powerful words could be. Nothing is empty when there is silence. Silence is a presence that needs to be heard. People have to pay more attention to what you say because of it. People who didn't say much but made every word count have been the most respected in history for a reason. Think of an old wise person who sits quietly and thinks, only saying when they need to. Their words are important because they are rare. This is like someone who talks too much. Their words lose their sense over time. It makes a statement to be quiet in a world full of noise. It shows that you are sure of yourself, smart, and in charge. You will notice a change in how you see yourself and how other people see you once you learn how to control it. You'll learn to know when to be quiet, when to observe, and when one well-placed word can be more powerful than 1,000 careless ones. History has been changed by this idea many times. Think about the great politicians whose reserve has changed the way countries act. Politicians who are good at their jobs never say what they plan to do too soon. They let rumors do the work for them. The world is left to guess, wonder, and wait while they keep their plans secret. And when they finally speak, their words have power, not because they are loud, but because they are few and carefully chosen. Because of this, being quiet is not a sign of weakness. It is the most powerful thing you can do in life, in business, in relationships, and in strategy. The person with the most power is the one who talks the least. People who really need to talk all the time to feel important become clear and easy to pin down. But people who learn how to be quiet become mysterious, admired, and most of all, strong. It's not about holding back just to hold back when you're silent. It's about putting yourself in charge, The rest of the world has to lean in, listen better, and guess what you're thinking. Hold back the urge to talk all the time the next time you're talking to someone. Let other people talk first. Let them show who they are. Watch and think, and then respond only when it serves your goal. This is the difference between speaking to be understood and speaking to be remembered. You will start to see the world differently once you understand this. You will understand that in the battle for power, the person who talks the least but says the most always wins. Machiavelli once said that those who control information and those who speak too easily and do not hide their thoughts have power. People who don't speak often today have lost the art of quiet because they think that talking makes them more important. Many people talk too much not because they are smart, but because they need to be validated deep down. They talk to fill awkward silences, impress others, or show their worth. But by doing that, they give up the power they want to gain. Why do some people have trouble being quiet? Words are a natural way for most people to protect themselves when they are feeling unsure, unsafe, or like they need to please other people. When they talk more, they think it gives them more power, but it often takes it away. Though strong people know that being quiet is just as important as being loud, they know that being quiet is more important than being loud. They work on measured speech, which means they plan their words to have the most effect. This quietness creates a sense of mystery, an unspoken authority that makes people listen when they do talk. Machiavelli said that a prince should never take his eyes off of war. This is true in many areas of life, not just war. Every interaction is a subtle battle of influence, and knowledge can be both a weapon and a weakness. Someone who talks too much is like a general who tells everyone his plans for a war without thinking. He sets himself up to lose before the battle even starts. People who know this fact act in a different way. They know that speech, like tactics, should be used sparingly and for a reason. A well-timed silence can be just as effective as a great case at bringing down someone's confidence. Power comes not from words, but from choosing not to use them. People who know how to be silent can watch without being seen, listen while others say what they want to say, and stay unexpected. Silence leaves a void, and nature hates voids. People have to fill the void with their own apologies, fears, and goals. From kings to philosophers, the most important people in history knew that silence was never empty, but a force that shaped their lives. Their words were more important the less they spoke. There are 3 important rules you need to know if you want to use silence as a power tool. Listen first, then talk. You learn more when you don't say much. People show who they are through the things they say, but even more so when they're not trying to hide it. By learning silence, you start to notice the little things that other people miss, like a hand twitching out of nervousness, hesitating before telling a lie, or over-explaining that someone is lying. You can get information without giving up any of your own when you are quiet. Second, let other people show who they are. A lot of people are afraid of quiet because it makes them feel bad. When negotiating, talking, or debating, a well-placed pause makes people keep talking, which often leads them to say more than they meant to. This is a strategy that both skilled leaders and master manipulators use. You change the balance of power when you fight the urge to fill the silence. You make the other person talk about their fears, doubts, or wants without them having to do anything. Third, only speak when you have a reason. Every word should mean something, or else it's just empty air. The most important people in history knew this to be true. Think of leaders like Marcus Aurelius, who wrote whole theories in short, powerful sentences, or modern people like Steve Jobs, whose few, well-chosen words filled rooms with power. They knew that the weight of words doesn't come from how much is said, but from what it means. People who can avoid the urge to talk without thinking get an edge that other people don't even notice. The power of quiet is often forgotten, but it is one of the best ways to persuade someone. Not having words is not just a choice, it's a technique that makes people say more than they want to, doubt themselves, and give up their power. As an easy test, don't say anything the next time you're with someone. Just look around. As the other person starts to feel uncomfortable, they may start to talk more than they need to or over-explain your point. Because they couldn't sit still, they are telling you their secrets, their flaws, and their deepest thoughts at that very moment. People who use silence as a weapon don't have to fight to win. They just get attention. They don't have to be loud to be heard. Just being there makes people admire them. Power is not about what you say, but what you don't say. This is a secret that not many people know. The world is shaped by those who understand this rule. Those who don't will always be at the hands of those who do. Imagine walking into a room where a heated argument is going on and hearing nothing. People are yelling, arguing, and feeling very angry. Then, in the middle of everything, someone just stops talking. They lean back and watch without saying anything. The mood changes right away. The others start to move around and their words sound rushed, even desperate. This is the power of silence that you might not notice. An invisible force that shakes things up, guides conversations, and eventually decides how things turn out. A lot of people don't value silence enough. They believe that talking, letting people know they are there, and claiming control with words gives them strength. But careless use of words turns them into weapons that hurt the person who said them. They show their flaws and insecurities and spread influence. The people who really know how to affect others are the ones who know when to keep quiet and let others fill the void. Truth comes out at those times not from the speaker but from the person who can't stand the silence. Take a look at a questioning room to see how silence can reveal the truth. A suspect is sitting next to a police officer. The detective asks a question and then stays quiet. The suspect moves around, and the silence makes them want to speak up. This strategy isn't just used by police. Lawyers, journalists, and even salespeople use silence as a tool to explain away information they never meant to share. Why? Because it's natural to want to fill a void. People are more afraid of quiet than of speaking. This concept works just as well in everyday life. Did you ever notice that the person who talks the most during a fight is usually the weakest? They tell everything, including their greatest fears, anger, and desperation. The person who stays calm and doesn't say much always has the upper hand. People feel awkward when you're quiet, and it forces them to show who they are. It's like a mirror that shows people their flaws. How to be still in everyday life. One thing about society is that quiet gets people's attention. Imagine walking into a room full of people who are all trying to be heard the most. They compete to be liked, to be accepted, and to give the impression that they are in charge. However, one person does listen through all of this noise. They watch and nod, and when they speak, everyone turns their head. This is the strange truth about silence. The less you say, the more it matters. Rare things are valued, and someone who doesn't say much makes people curious. When they finally say something, it has weight. On the other hand, people who talk too much weaken their own impact. The next time you're in a group chat, try not to fill in every blank. As other people talk, let the quiet grow. There will be a change. All of a sudden, people will start looking at you and waiting for you to think. You have power at that moment. Be a leader. Talk less, move more. Leaders who are wise know that silence is more powerful than any word. A leader who talks too much and feels the need to explain everything loses power. But a leader who listens carefully and picks their words carefully gives off an air of strength. Why? Because being quiet makes you feel sure. The unsure talk and the sure watch. Think about the most important people in history. They didn't get ahead by talking nonstop. They learned how to pause. They knew that being quiet before making a choice builds tension, and tension makes people respect you. In times of chaos, the leader who stays calm is the one that everyone looks to for direction. Stop speaking too quickly if you want to be respected. Allow people to lean in during breaks. Let them guess what's on your mind. The most important thing is when you say something, not how much you say. The silent negotiator, taking charge of the endgame. Lack of speech is not only a strategy in talks, it's also a trap. People who talk a lot always lose. Why? Because they show too much. They show that you are eager, weak, and impatient. The negotiator who stays quiet waits for the other side to fill the gap, which they always do. When a salesperson is desperate to make a deal, they will go on and on about discounts and other perks, which shows how desperate they are. People who don't say anything and let the salesman talk, on the other hand, have power. At some point, the seller starts to negotiate against themselves by giving more than they had planned just to make the silence more bearable. Do you want to try this? When you're negotiating for a raise, a buy, or a choice, be clear about what you want and then stop talking. Allow the silence to last. Pay attention to how they act. You'll be surprised at how much power you get from not saying anything. Why quiet is the most powerful weapon. Our time is one where everyone wants to be heard. People shout their views into the void on social media, people talk over each other in meetings, and personal conversations are often competitions to see who can speak next. But the ones that are quiet stand out in all the noise. The real power masters don't use words to prove themselves right away. Instead, they let others show them where they're weak. While they wait, they watch and think, and then when the time is right, they speak and everyone listens. Do you want to gain power with your words, or do you want to lose power with your words? Are you in charge of your speech, or does it run your life? What you say has an effect on other people. There are words that make empires and words that destroy them. Being silent doesn't mean you can't say anything. It means you know when to build suspense, when to keep things tense, and when to make your words count. People who are good at this not only win talks, but they also change the way things happen around them. Which brings me to my last question. Are you in charge of the power of silence, or is your need to talk in charge of you? Leave a comment below and let's see who really knows how important words are.